Welcome to the Work Study app from Time Management Services. On this video we'll be looking at the time study function. So to open the app we just tap on the icon as normal, and that will bring up a welcome screen and then take us into our app selection screen. So as you can see, we've got time studies, activity sample studies, or the CENTI-MINUTE stopwatch. We're going to do the time studies today. So just click on the time study option. You can view existing studies and send the reports from them if you want to by pressing the lower button, but we're going to begin a new study. We have to input in these fields, otherwise the app won't let us move further on. So I'm just going to put some information in there, and then I'll submit that, and that will take us to the element input screen. We've instantly got two elements there that come up as default elements: ineffective and lost time. So I'm just going to imagine a small press operation, and I'll press load press, press the plus button, and it brings load press up. If I just tap on that green shaded area, it lets me then change the type of activity from a normal to an occasional. So I'll just return that and press OK. My next one would be operate press, and then add that, and then unload. I also like to add a couple of just blank occasional elements, just in case something crops up, and I can change that to occasional. Just put another one in there. And change that to occasional. So we've got a list of all our activities now. So I can go on the left-hand icon, and there we can see the study is ready to start. So I'm going to press the start button, and as soon as I press the start button, this is then recording against our first element. We don't need to take a check time or check study because it's all built into the system. So as soon as you press start, that is the start of your first element. So off we go. Right, I've decided that I need to load the press first, so I'll press the load press icon, and when the end of that element occurs, press the lap button and then rate accordingly, and that will take you instantly into the second element. So I'm going to select operate press. So when that ends, I press lap and rate it accordingly, and it takes me to the third element. So I'm going to unload the press. So let's imagine now that something happens while the operator is unloading the press. So I just press the foreign button in the top left hand corner, and that will let me select another element. So I'm going to just pretend that the operator is ineffective just for a while. They're talking to one of their fellow operators, let's imagine. When that's finished, press lap, and we're now counting back to the original element. So as soon as I press lap, it will take me into the rating screen, so I can rate and then move on to the next element, which was loading the press. And when that's finished, press the lap button and rate it. When I've done enough cycles and I need to finish the study, I'll just press the finish study, and then it will ask me, are you sure, or do you want to cancel? I'm sure, so I'll press OK, and then that will take me into the analysis report screen, where I will press on send report, enter an email address, press send, and that should be sent, and you'll get a confirmation there come through from your mail. And that is the Time Study app. I can now close the application. Welcome to the Work Study app from Time Management Services. In this short video, we're going to be looking at the activity sampling section of the app. So to open the app, just click on the icon. This will take us to a welcome screen and then automatically to our app selection screen. So today we're looking at the activity sample study, so I'll click on the middle button, and this will take us to our study options screen for activity sampling. We can click on view existing studies and resend the reports if we need to, but I'll show you how to set up a new activity sample. So I've clicked on the top button. That takes us into the study details screen. The study number on here is 3. This number automatically goes up by 1 each time we take a new study. So we need to fill in the fields, so we'll fill in the study name and the department and who it's studied by. And then we can see that we can have either a rated, or if we click the button, an unrated study. I'm going to show you a rated study because it's more involved. The interval type can be constant, or you can set it at random intervals. So if you set it to random intervals and then set an interval time of 6 minutes, the average interval for the random will be between 0 and 12 minutes, but with an average of 6 minutes. If you set it at constant, it will stick at an exact every 6 minutes. And we can also have the alarm switched on to tell us when the next round is available. It defaults to disabled. I'm going to keep it on disabled for the time being. You'll also need, if you want the alarm, to have allowed notifications for the application. So now we're ready and we've filled in all of the details. We can submit the details, and that will take us to our study input screen. So here we input the names of the operators. I'm just going to put Stuart and press plus, and then we'll put another one. Let's have Samantha, and we'll also have maybe Ben as well. So we've got 3 operators. We only need 1 operator in there. We can of course also put in machines if we wish, because we can also activity sample machines just the same as we can with people. So we need at least 1 person in there. If we want to delete a person, just touch on the dustbin next to their name. So I've touched on Ben's dustbin and he's disappeared. We need now to then set up the activities that we're likely to see. Now we can add operators and activities during the study, so don't worry that you have to input every single activity. It is fluid, so you can add new operators as we go along and also new activities as we go along. So I'll go on the activity buttons and activity icon on the bottom left, and you'll see that we've got 2 already inputted there, being inactive, idle and absent away from the workplace. I'm going to just add in a working code, working value added. We'll plus that and you'll see it comes up as green, so that shows us that it's a value added activity. We can also put use computer and add that. Now what I can do with the use computer activity is, as it's not a value added activity, we can actually touch on the icon itself, the green area, and change that by clicking this button on the category screen to non-value added and clicking OK, and that changes it into a yellow. This just helps the analysis at the end because it'll subcategorize each activity on their own, but also group them into working on value-added activities, working on non-value-added activities, and then it'll also analyse separately the inactive codes, inactive, ineffective and absent. Now we've also got a historic icon, so I'll just tap on this icon and you'll see that I have used some activities in the past. Now when you first come to use the app, you won't have any activities until you've added them yourself, but it saves any that you've used in the past. So let's select some of these. So we want paperwork, changeover, breakdown, training and housekeeping, and I'm going to add them to the study. And you can see it adds them as value added, and I'm just going to change their subcategory to non-value added by clicking on the green area, clicking on the button and then clicking OK. Okay, so we've got a list of activities now, so we can start our study. We can start the study just by pressing on the study icon on the bottom left. Once we've clicked on there, we're into our first set of samples. To take our first observation, we just click on the operator or the machine name. So I've clicked on Stuart, and now it's asking me what is Stuart doing during this first sample. Click on working, and because it's a working element, I then have to rate it. So it's rated at an 80. Samantha is on a non-value added activity, and I rate her at 105. And you'll see they've shaded, showing that I've already taken an observation for that person or machine for that round. The one that I haven't done is the machine. So let's hit absent for the machine. Oh, that's wrong. So I can, obviously the machine can't be absent. So I just click on the machine again and lets me overtype it. When I've finished the full set of observations for all of the operators and machines, just click on the next observation button at the bottom, and that logs away the first observation and then lets us keep adding new elements in. If you click on an idle element, any of the red elements, it won't let you rate because you don't need to rate people who aren't working. So next observation, I'll just click through on these at random now just to show you something else, because after you reach 10 or so observations, the program will then start to calculate how far along the study is complete based on what you've entered so far. Now, if you know anything about statistical tolerances, you'll know that this can be a fluid figure and it can change. It can actually go, the completed amount of the study can actually go downwards depending on what activities we press. It's all statistically controlled. So we're on round now number 10. So we should start to see the completed study amount there. You can see now that we have a completed study of 12%. As I said, this is fluid. It can go up and down depending on how many operators and how many, depending on which activities you've selected. Okay, so with 12% complete, this is complete for the whole study, not the individual person. You'll need to keep going for some time longer if you want to have the results for the individual person. What we can do as well while we're in the middle of a study, apart from adding new activities or new operators just by clicking on the icons on the bottom, we can also merge activities. So if we click on the merge activity and then say, right, we want to put breakdown and changeover, and we want to merge those into one activity. There you can see it's changed into breakdown and changeover. we can select another one to join that group as well, so we get 3 elements, just in case we're struggling to finish the study due to the small elements. Again, you'll need to revise up on your statistics to do that. Okay, so when the study is complete and we've made our last observation, we can then finish the observation, or we can pause it and come back to it at a later date. But I'm going to finish it just to show you. Press on finish. It says we haven't had the study isn't complete because we haven't made enough observations. That's true, but I'm just going to show you how it works now. So I'm going to press override rather than close. So that will take us to the send report, the analysis report screen. Just click on the icon there, and that will bring up the emailing page. So just enter the email that you require it to go to, press send, and the analysis for the activity sample will be in your inbox. So I'm just going to close the application, and thank you for listening. Welcome to Time Management Services Work Study app. Today we're going to be looking at the CENTI-MINUTE stopwatch part of the application. So simply to open the app, just tap on the icon, and this will bring you into a welcome screen, followed by the app selection screen. We're looking at the CENTI-MINUTE stopwatch today, so I'm going to click on the bottom button, and that will take me straight through to the stopwatch screen. Now, to start the stopwatch, just click on the start button in the bottom left hand corner, and that will set the stopwatch running, and then each time you press lap, that will give you the time when you pressed the lap button and also the lap time split out. Now we can keep going, and this is infinite, but if you need to check back on some of your readings, just scroll up and down, and when we come to stop the stopwatch, press stop, and we can either leave it on stop and restart it at some point by pressing the start button and continue using the lap button as we did before, or we can stop it and reset it. And when we reset, it just asks us to confirm, so I'll say OK, and it's reset back to 000. One of the features of this stopwatch is that not only can we record in centi-minutes, but we can also, just by tapping on the running clock at the top, change the running clock and all of the recordings into seconds. So if you want seconds, we can do that instantly and convert between the two. So just to change it back to centi-minutes, just touch on the running clock at the top, and that changes it back to centi-minutes. I'm going to reset the stopwatch and reset it to 0, and now I'm going to close the application where we finish.